Welcome ladies and gents, my name is Curci and this is the review for Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Once I had beaten the newest Assassin's Creed, I sat back and reflected on the whole experience. I looked at the positives, at the negatives, and asked myself the question, was it better than Unity? And my answer was yes, but honestly, that wasn't saying much. I will give Syndicate credit, it took some of the issues I had with Unity and improved. It had good characters, a comprehensive story, good open world coupled with decent navigation mechanics, and a sort of improved combat system. But despite the positives the game possesses, there isn't much it does to stand out from the other games in the franchise. In Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you play as twins Jacob and Evie Fry, two assassins attempting to retake London from the clutches of the Templar Order. While the overall goal of each of these two characters was the same, they both had different approaches. Jacob wishes to create a gang and lead an uprising against the Templar Grand Master Crawford Starrick, while Evie wishes to locate a piece of Eden. I did like the voice acting and writing of both Jacob and Evie. They each had their own personality. Jacob is more rash and cocky, while Evie is caring and more calculative. Where Jacob would run to confront a problem head on, Evie is more about hanging back and observing before making a move. These personalities are also reflected by the way you might play these characters, or at least how the game might want you to play them, because I didn't exactly stick to the script. At first I did try to play along. Jacob found himself in more fights than Evie, who I played with stealth in mind. But about a quarter of the way through the game and they were both being played the exact same way. I opened with stealth and resorted to combat when it was required. As far as the leveling system went, I did change things up a little bit between Jacob and Evie, who each have their own skill trees. This doesn't mean that each character needs to be individually leveled up in order to unlock skills. As you gain experience, you unlock a skill point that is shared between the twins. For example, you may gain a skill for Jacob and spend it to purchase a skill that allows you to execute an opponent. But for Evie, that new skill point Jacob earned is still there and can be used for something else. This was a good move on the part of the developers because it didn't make me think that I had to play one character just to grind out points to level up. As for the gameplay, Syndicate did cherry pick some of the positives from Unity in a few areas. It adopts the up and down free running mechanic where you just inform the game if you wish to scale up or down a wall. This was originally implemented with Unity in the hopes of lessening the risk of fall damage, which it does, but Unity's free running still has the same issues as its predecessors. Getting the character to do certain things can be annoying. But there is also a new navigation mechanic, the grapple. Much like what you would expect to see in Batman's utility belt, the grapple is used to completely scale buildings with speed or zipline from rooftop to rooftop. This made navigating the city of London much faster as you shoot across gaps you would have had to go around in past Assassin's Creed games. As for combat, it was different than past games. Gone is the timing of strikes or waiting for a parry insta-kill. Syndicate has a very Batman-like style that adds challenge while still feeling like it belongs in an AC game. You have your standard strikes and, when prompted, can counter incoming attacks and will need to occasionally break your opponent's defense. You can also use a ranged weapon like throwing knives or a gun. This is an easy to understand system, but you might want to pick your battles wisely. Both Jacob and Evie can handle their own against more than a few enemies, but if they get too outnumbered, you might want to consider a hasty retreat. You could also enlist the help of allies in sticky situations. As you progress and retake parts of London, groups of Jacob's gang, the Rooks, will start appearing around the city. You can call on these gang members to assist you either by having them back you up in a fight or sending them to attack enemies, which can be used as a distraction. The open world of London is filled with many things to do. For the most part, there are the missions that free areas of the city from Templar control. You can free child workers, assassinate a Templar target, kidnap a person of interest, or lead an uprising against the rival gang, the Blighters. As you slowly start to free areas, eventually you will be encountered by the local boss. By eliminating the boss, you can gain an advantage in the upcoming gang war to free the Bureau. If they escape, the gang war missions, which has the Rooks fight against the Blighters in a street fight, will end with the boss showing up and result in a boss battle. This is where I started to realize the shortcomings of the combat. While multiple enemies are a challenge, I noticed a lack of enemy variance. Sure, you might have the snipers and bigger guys, but the strategy to take out each one is the exact same as any other enemy. This is even more noticeable with boss battles, as I would often just wail on them until I happened to find myself in a sequence where I just had to simply block incoming attacks. Despite the shortcomings, I did find myself constantly going for these missions. Instead of making my way toward a story mission, I would always be diverting to deal with freeing children from harsh working conditions or killing a target. There are other missions as well. As you progress, you meet notable characters like Charles Dickens and Alexander Graham Bell, who will offer additional missions for you to complete. The assassination missions in the story take a note from one of the better things about Unity. It starts by informing you of your target and gives you a few options as to how to go about it. You could rush in, slaughtering everyone and kill your target that way, or you could take a more careful approach by having a guard escort you to your target, allowing you to unexpectedly come from behind and kill them. Now let's talk about the main story. As I said before, I really enjoyed the characters in this game. I would even go so far as to say as there wasn't a single character that I didn't like. I really enjoyed the main villain Starrick, who was calm but explosive at times. He had a few great moments, but I wish that the game had had more of him, or at least did a better job of building him up to add intensity. The same could be said about the plot in general. It seemed like it was just going through the motion and was very predictable with an ending that wasn't all that satisfying. Oh, and there's a present day narrative, but it seems just as out of place as any other Assassin's Creed game. This time, however, you are essentially watching as all the interesting stuff plays out in a cutscene. I've been saying that the franchise should have dropped the present day timeline for years, but it now seems that these are included just because the developers feel like they have to. Coming off the disappointment of Unity, I wasn't expecting much from Syndicate at all. While the game did stumble in certain areas, I did find myself enjoying the characters, the open world, the assassination missions, and most of the other newer gameplay mechanics. At the end of the day, when asked if I liked Assassin's Creed Unity, I'll say sure, it was pretty good, which is more than I could ever say about Unity. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.